Hey guys, Dib the Awesome here to give you another Monster Legends Guides where we talk about monsters' moves, rune sets, partners, all that jazz. Today we are looking at Little Red Fury Cap, who is the last monster in the Fairy Tale Island progressive map that's currently out for 2 days. Yep. This is the time I'm making this video is on the last 2 days of this event, and yeah. So this is the again final monster of this event. Is this a good monster? She's a really great damage dealer. She's solely based on single target damage. She has the above gospel power of 465, so she runs really great in terms of single target damage. AOE presence not too much. It does that alone too. This is the sole purpose of this monster is just to do really heavy damage to something. Her main purpose is to literally go over to any monster you hate, rip its arms off, and beat them to death with it. That's the main concept with this monster. Point your finger at something, she'll fetch their arms back and bring it back to you. That's how this monster goes. Point a finger at something, she'll go and fetch it, rip their arms off, and bring them back to you after she's done beating them to death with it. So yeah, power is 3,476. Great power above the gospel power. Nice. Power life 26,239. It's all right. It's pretty all right, and stuff like that. It's decent. You can take a few hits. Not the highest power in the game though. Speed is 3,421. She is pretty fast. Like just for like in the sense of attacking, this is a pretty nice speed for attackers and stuff like that. So yeah, since it is decent, since it is at a decent speed, I would actually recommend a life rune. That's just my personal preference. But yeah, you should totally run in all perfect honesty. You should either run full damage runes or a 2 strength and life rune if you don't do the full strength runes. My first suggestion is like full damage in all perfect honesty. If you're just running the average Joe runes, do run at all like just straight up if you're just running level 5 runes, all on the board, all 5 level 5 strength runes and stuff like that. She is immune to nightmares. This isn't the best trait in the game. In fact, it's one of the worst. I'd much rather have any other immunity than this. Or except Attune, I take that bad. Attune is worse. Attune is much worse. But it makes sense with her character because she's based on Little Red Riding Hood, and you know it's kind of like she has nightmares and stuff like that. Or so, like there's so many like parodies and stuff like that where about like Little Red where she's like in a mental facility or she has like a lot of nightmares and stuff like that about like the werewolf and stuff like that, or like there's just a lot of parody tales and stuff like that about that. But yeah, this is the child, teenage, and adult form. Stuff like that. His weakness to light, obviously, because it is a dark monster. So this is her ultimate. This is actually her only form of like heavy hitting AoE damage. Is her 65 damage ult. She has a 30 damage AoE that's special based, but you know it's not too grand in AoE damage. Obviously there's better AoE monsters that do better AoE damage than just 30 damage. Special damage. It's not even spammable either. that's a shame too. At least I don't think it was spammable. But yeah, basically this ultimate, what it does, it's 65 damage across the board, special base, really nice, and it gives nightmares and bleeding. This is really nice because it pretty much is the equivalent of burning somebody, and they're now burnt. They're basically burnt. They're pretty much burned for 3 turns. Which is it's the common effect for burning. But you get my point. If they're not immune to nightmares, they're going to be burned. They're pretty much burned for like several turns. That's pretty great. It's the equivalent of that much damage you're giving them, or you're giving them and stuff like that. Yeah, pretty much giving them and stuff like that. So let's see here. Nothing really to talk about in skill groups 1 in all perfect honesty. It's just 50% chance, none of them are even spammable. So we're gonna go to skill groups 2 and 3. I will say this monster in particular only has 1 skill set and stuff like that. Bigger Mouth removes 25% of the target's maximum health from the target, requires a cooldown of 1 turn. This is basically, in all perfect honesty, this is pretty much a 5% more move than MMO monsters 20% on I think it was like a 2 or 3 turn cooldown. But I think it's better. I think it might actually be better just because of the fact it runs on a 1 turn cooldown and it's like 5% more. So yeah, this is pretty much a better MMO monster, 20%, or the skill groups 2-1. It's a pretty much better version than that. So basically you run this if you're you use this move only when you're ever, like in all perfect honesty, If you're dazed to death, if you're like literally dazed, if you're literally damage reduction, use this move for just solely the fact of like doing a percentage damage and finishing up somebody. That's the only time you use this move in all perfect honesty, because most of the time you're only going to use one other move that does like that's her main move and stuff like that. Wolf Crew deals low special damage to all enemies, may make all targets bleed. This requires a 3-turn cooldown, 35 stamina. Yeesh, yeesh. Yeah, that's that. I guess that's the common the common thing, but you know it's 30 damage. It's 30 damage. So you are applying bleed. I guess that's a nice thing about it. It's at least it's special. It is special based, and you are bleeding people, so that's all right. That's great if you want to do the like if you want to just spread bleeding stuff like that. That's totally fine if you do it for just the sake of that. Grandma's Nightmare deals low dark damage to all enemies, may give nightmares to all targets, requires cooldown. Now, in all perfect honesty, if you ever like put in the comments, Dib, should I run Grandma's Nightmare or Wolf Crew? Wolf Crew. Nobody's immune to bleeding in the game, so yeah, this is the better DOT. If you want to, you may run both. But it's not the best because you've used half your stamina at this point. It's 30. Yeah, it's not the best at that point. Trust me. I've done like AoE combos. It only helps if it pays off. I will say that like if you're running 2 AoEs and it's like 35 stamina each, it only ever pays off if the combo pays off. You know what I'm saying? If like AoE dazing and blinding, if it does that totally pays off. If it's like dazing and stunning, just like that, that pays off. If the effects really give out in the end of like how much you've actually spent in that rotation. Bigger Hands deals massive special damage. This monster is a one-trick pony, and this is the only reason why you run this monster. It's because of this move, and it does a lot of damage. This is the move where she goes over and rips people's hands off and beats them with, or like arms off and beats them with it. This is the only real reason why you really want to use this thing, because it has a 70 damage spammable move. Ow. This hurts a lot, especially if you have a lot of like if your power is really high, you're obviously gonna kill something. Something dies when you're at it's like either at the threshold power, if you're at the threshold power, whatever that power is, and you use this move, something dies. Something's pretty close to dead. That's why you should run 3 strength runes. In all perfect honesty, if you run 3 strength runes, you will kill anything without a life rune. That's the way it goes. You will kill something. I think I can imagine something with at least 25k dying. At least 25k. I imagine that. It might not be the case. I see it like that, but it might not be the case. You might be pretty close. I think it might be pretty close because I use a Wildcat and I do a 65 damage move. I think I do around 22k, so probably 23k. But not too enough. But yeah, if you up that higher, if you up the rune higher and stuff like that to level like 6 or 7, you start seeing some insta-killing. You will start seeing murder of most things. You can probably one-hit the attacker if the attacker has low life at that point, but yeah, you get my gist. You get my hint. This does a lot of damage. You bring this solely for single target damage. I will say that this guy's meant for this move alone. This guy does a lot of damage. Grandma's Claws deals heavy special damage, may make target bleed, requires cooldown. You use this on a tank. Use this only if you in all perfect honesty, if you need to like weather something down, you use like if it's a tank and stuff like that, you should use Grandma's Claws, or you could use Wolf Crews in the beginning too, just to AoE bleed everybody, wear everybody down. But that's the only thing. And you also use this move to reduce the damage you take. Sorry, I'm still sick. But yeah, you use this move. You use Wolf. In all honesty, you use Wolf Crew to reduce the damage you take, and that's perfectly fine. You can totally use it in that sense. But yeah, pretty much use bleeding to weather down enemies. This is kind of redundant. It is kind of just redundant that it's kind of irrelevant and stuff like that, because all you really need to do is like bigger hands. I mean, like if you're just looking for damage, bigger hands and stuff like that, and you've already done the AoE bleeding and stuff like that, there's really no point in Grandma's Claws if you do have it. You may run it. You may totally run it if you need to do a dot damage move. But in all perfect honesty, why not just kill the thing you're fighting? It's totally your choice. It's totally up to you. But yeah, bigger hands. Yeah, you get the difference. Wear down, or just like you probably do this right away. But you should put this move on there just for the just the idea of like if you get like cooldowns activated, you have this to protect you. That's pretty much the only reason why you even have this move on. Hunter's Nightmare deals heavy dark damage, may give nightmares to targets, requires cooldown of a single, no turn actually. So yeah, this is not all that great. It's not all that great because it's like it's not only is it just a single target damage move, it just applies nightmares. It's not too major. There's a lot of things that are immune to nightmares, and it's not the biggest status effect to be applied to unless you apply something else to it, like burning or bleed. Mostly burning because it already has a strong DOT at the moment. So if you apply it with burning, it does 20%. You get that. You get the gist of that. But obviously, why at that point? Why don't you just do like poison too? Now they're taking 25% per turn and stuff like that. Yeah, it's that same concept. It goes. You just stack this. You stack nightmares with other DOTs, basically, and that's why people don't like AOE nightmares. That's why people don't like AOE nightmare unless it applies another thing too. That's why Fenrir is the only one that can really use like a nightmare move because it does something else too. Like it does dazing too. It does another effect along with nightmaring and stuff like that. Obviously there's more benefits when you use it. So yeah, I think Fenrir is the only one that does like realistically speaking, besides like him and I think well, what is it? Razul. Razul doesn't he has his AoE's a nightmare too. I think he does like AoE nightmare and stuff like that. I think those are the only two monsters that even do people actually put in all honesty, I think those are the only two that people put like a nightmare AoE up. Those are the only times too. But yeah. That's how irrelevant that is. But yeah, the moveset you want to run with this thing is bigger hands. You may run Grandma's Claws. I'm going to give that as an option, in all perfect honesty. The one move you have to run is bigger hands and Wolf Crew. Everything else is fair game. I will say that. You can run bigger mouth. You can run the AoE too if you wanted to. You could do that. That's an option. If I will say only ever do like the Wolf Crew and Grandma's Nightmare combination if you have a stamina refiller. Then you don't have any you won't have any stamina problems at that point. But only ever do that with a stamina refiller. I think the moveset I'll probably lean towards is bigger hands. Probably do that. Bigger hands, bigger mouth, Wolf Crew and Grandma's Nightmare. That's the combination I'd go. I'd only ever use Grandma's Nightmare if I had a stamina refiller. That's the only time you should ever use do the Wolf Crew and Grandma's combo is if you have a stamina refiller. Don't do it any other time. And stuff like that. I probably wouldn't even at that point though. I still probably wouldn't even do it because if you actually take the time to think about it in an actual fight, you've probably just AOE deny, then you follow that up with bigger hands. So if you actually take into account like the AOE damage too, you could just realistically speaking, you could totally one hit something that is again without a life rune. Because you gotta add in the deny damage too. I guess in the beginning I didn't add the fact of AOE damage, which pretty much results in one hit KOing at that point. In terms of just the attacker moving that turn, I didn't really think about it all that much. But you gotta really add the AOE damage too of the denier on their part. I didn't really think about that. So yeah, you could probably hit one hit at that point with level 5 runes, like just a full set of level 5 runes. And that's all in all, perfect honesty, that's the set I'd have you run for a rune set. It's just all damage runes. If you're the average Shido player, just starting, you just have level 5 runes at the moment, totally just slam full level 5 runes on this thing. Just turn out great for you at the end. I will say if you're running decently more higher runes, like level 7 runes, you can be a little more, you don't have to run that extra damage rune. It's kind of unnecessary at that point. If you're running like 2 high-end runes, you can put a high-end life rune, totally do that. Don't be cheap on the life rune. Be nice to it. Put a nice life rune on it. Don't put a level 5 rune on it. Put a level 7 or 10 life rune on it. Be nice with the life rune. If you're nice with the life rune, it's out there longer and stuff like that. Partners, real quick. In all perfect honesty, do Kalik. Kalik's monster device just to get rid of that god awful. Just being denied all the time from everything in the game. That's one of the things she suffers is she can be denied by stunning, by possession, by everything. You gotta keep that off her. In all perfect honesty, that's the thing I'd have you do. I think Monster Device was probably the best. Wasn't Monster Device? Doesn't Monster Device give immunity to possession too? I wonder if he does that. But yeah, that might be the ultimate choice at the end. But yeah, you get my point. That's the important partners to pair it up with. The other partner you may pair it up with is AoE damage if you want. This thing in all honesty, this thing lacks AoE damage. So if you wanted to do something that doesn't lack AoE damage, like say if you just got everything in the event, if all you have right now are things in the event, Son Cookie wouldn't be a bad idea to pair it up with in terms of like an extra guy set. You can do like you can combo it with Son Cookie's AoE blind and daze. You can totally do that. That's totally an option. You do take less damage if you do that and stuff like that because the daze stacks with the bleeding and stuff. Like in terms of like just damage reduction, it stacks with the bleeding, poison, and stuff like that. You can pair it up with that. That totally works. That totally works and stuff like that. With the rune set for Son Cookie, you'd probably either run 2 speeds and a strength or like the extra guy build. You'd probably do that. But yeah, that's pretty much all about it about Little Red Fury Cap. Overall, this event, like compared to all the other progressive islands, not the best one. But it's got some really decent monsters at the end of the road. These monsters are pretty decent. It's just a shame that they were the last 2, and there was only 2 new ones. It's a shame at that. But yeah, this was an all around. Yeah, it was a meh event. It wasn't too grand compared to the other progressive islands. So that's everything you need to know about Little Red Fury Cap once again. I'm Dib the Awesome. I'll catch you guys later.